From Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana, Siddiqui. First, the headlines. USCIRF calls India country of particular concern, calls for sanctions. Discrimination against Muslim Americans up 9% in 2021. Vaccination could have prevented 3 in 5 U.S. COVID deaths since June 2021. Former Guantanamo Bay prisoner sues Canada for $35 million. Prophet Muhammad's cloak draws Muslims to Istanbul Mosque. Amirul Mukminin floating mosque in Indonesia. Our top story tonight. For the third year in a row, the bipartisan U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, or USCIRF, has asked the U.S. government to designate India as a country of particular concern. The CPC designation is used for nations that engage in egregious violations of religious freedom. This year, USCIRF also called for it to be used for China, Russia, and several Muslim countries, including Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. USCIRF also called for imposing targeted sanctions on individuals and entities responsible for severe violations. That would happen by freezing those individuals' or entities' assets and or barring their entry into the United States. USCIRF noted that in 2021, religious freedom conditions in India significantly worsened. The Indian government escalated its promotion and enforcement of policies negatively affecting Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Dalits, and other religious minorities. An Indian agency this morning issued a report connecting USCIRF chair Nadine Maenza to Justice for All and its leader Imam Malik Mujahid. The agency accused them of working for Pakistan and trying to influence the U.S. government. Justice for All, a U.S.-based human rights organization, welcomed the USCIRF report. Indian American Muslim Council USA also welcomed the designation. Nadine Maenza, the chairperson of USCIRF, is going to join us in our show later tonight, so keep watching Muslim News. Muslim Americans filed over 6,000 complaints last year with the Council on American Islamic Relations, a 9% increase from 2020, according to a new report. Complaints include bullying in schools, freedom of speech concerns, hate crimes, physical assaults, or placement on a federal terrorist watch list. Researchers documented a 28% rise in hate and bias incidents involving the forcible removal of hijabs, harassment, vandalism, and physical assault. On Friday, CARE's National Executive Director Nihad Awad said systemic Islamophobia continues to threaten our community. He urged the federal government to address structural anti-Muslim bigotry in its policies and the civil rights challenges facing Muslim communities. The Department of Justice documented 110 anti-Muslim incidents in its 2020 hate crimes report, down almost 40% from the previous year. 3 in 5 reported COVID-19 deaths in the United States since June 2021 could have been prevented by vaccination, according to a new analysis. The Kaiser Family Foundation estimated about 234,000 lives could have been saved with timely vaccination. Vaccine-preventable deaths represent 60% of all U.S. adult coronavirus fatalities since last summer. That represents roughly a quarter of the more than 987,000 COVID-19 deaths nationwide since the pandemic began. Many older and higher-risk adults in the U.S. had access to free, safe, and highly effective vaccines by the start of last year. Doses were widely available to all adults in the country by early May 2021. The U.S. is now approaching 1 million deaths from the virus. Former Guantanamo Bay prisoner Mohamedou Ould Silahai has filed a $35 million lawsuit against the Canadian government for his 14-year detention, the CBC reports. The court filing says authorities took actions that caused, contributed to, and prolonged Silahai's detention, torture, assault, and sexual assault at Guantanamo Bay. The 51-year-old Mauritanian citizen lived in Montreal from November 1999 to January 2000. He was investigated by security services during that time. He claimed Canadian authorities harassed him during the investigation and forced him to return to Mauritania. The lawsuit alleges that false information about Silahai's activities by Canadian officials led to his arrest and transfer to Jordan, Afghanistan, and then to Guantanamo Bay. Chicago's Gain Peace and other Muslim groups have launched a billboard campaign providing motorists a phone number and website to learn about Islam. The new billboard near O'Hare International Airport reads, "Happy Ramadan, pleasing the Creator and helping humanity." It's part of a $7,000 campaign by Gain Peace, the Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago, and the Islamic Food and Nutrition Council of America. Gain Peace's Executive Director Sabil Ahmed said the organizations want to raise awareness about Ramadan and the importance of fasting. On Sunday, France's President Emmanuel Macron won the presidency, gaining over 58% of votes. That is a smaller margin than in 2017, when he won with more than 66%. far-right leader Marine Le Pen won a higher percentage of votes this time. Both candidates portray Muslims as a threat and Islam as a dangerous religion. Macron's government has shut down anti-racist organizations, such as the Collective Against Islamophobia in France, and closed 92 mosques without any due process. However, in a last bid to win Muslim votes, Macron said Le Pen's proposal to ban hijabs in French public spaces would create civil war. The New York Times recently reported that Muslims, the largest minority group in France, are fleeing the country. Observers say this is facilitating a significant brain drain and damaging France's soft power. Sweden, a country viewed as a safe haven for refugees, was set aflame when riots erupted last week. The unrest comes after anti-Muslim Danish-Swedish politician Rasmus Paludan announced his burning tour of the Quran during the month of Ramadan. More than 40 people have been arrested and some injured when protesters took to the streets against authorities' decision to allow Paludan's far-right group's book-burning plans. Azra Muranovic, deputy chair of the Municipal Council of Värnamo, said it was a planned and distasteful campaign to provoke riots by using freedom of speech. In 2020, Paludan and his Stramkoers, or hardline party, were banned from Belgium for a year over plans to burn the Quran in an area of the capital, Brussels, largely occupied by Muslims. Paludan was also deported from France after suggesting the same in Paris. On Thursday, the Taliban-led interim government in Afghanistan banned TikTok as part of a drive to block immoral content. Inamullah Samagani, deputy spokesperson of the interim administration, said on Twitter the social media app misleads the younger generation. The popular South Korean PUBG battle game has also been blocked, he said. Samangani added that Afghan television channels should be prevented from airing immoral material in programs as much as possible. He said the Communications and IT Ministry will implement the decisions taken by the cabinet. Saudi Arabia may be banking on Donald Trump's return to the presidency. The oil-rich nation has refused to help punish Russia for invading Ukraine. It has also placed $2 billion in an untested investment fund run by Trump's son-in-law and former senior advisor Jared Kushner. The Biden administration has been looking for ways to reassure the Saudi government of its dedication to the kingdom's security. It has been trying to persuade Riyadh to increase oil production to lower gas prices by as much as 30%. On Thursday, the White House said it was an ironclad commitment from the president on down. The Pentagon is working on a draft statement of U.S.-Saudi security arrangements. Observers say it is likely to fall short of the firm guarantees the Saudis and other Gulf states are demanding. Prophet Muhammad's cloak drawing Muslims to an Istanbul mosque, and more news stories around the globe after this break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Imam Malik Mujahid. Brothers and sisters, we all watch the Allahu Akbar lady from India. She is amazing, isn't she? She is neither compromising her hijab nor her education. She is standing tall. We must stand with her. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect her. But it is not just hijab, brothers and sisters. Indian Muslims are facing genocide.
Genocide that we face in India is not a new phenomenon. India has had several genocides.
They are attacked every day. Even the Indian government admits there has been more than 1,800 organized attacks on Muslims, but they call it riot. 660 people are hanged to death in India, lynched in broad daylight, sometimes just because they were accused of eating beef. Yes, accusation of eating beef can kill a human being in India. We cannot remain silent, can we? Alhamdulillah, OIC has spoken, that is good, but why in the world United Nations is silent? The UN has a responsibility to protect. It has a duty to prevent genocide. Sisters and brothers, we must stand with Indian Muslims and other minorities. We are free, they are not. We are not attacked, they are under attack day and night. Let's do our job. I have signed this UN petition. I ask you to sign it now. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. This is Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid. Walking up and down the world's largest refugee camps, I met Sister Fatima. Well, I'm calling her a sister. She was just a teenage girl, my granddaughter's age. Her parents were slaughtered by the Burmese military, and she was dragged by the Burmese soldiers to their hut, and all night long she was violated. She lost consciousness. When she regained, and in the morning and soldiers were themselves away, she ran and hid in a vegetable patch. Some people saw her, gave her clothes, and took her 4-day-long walk to Bangladesh. Who will speak up for her? Who will stand up for her if not you and I? It's our responsibility. It's our duty, brothers and sisters in humanity. And that's why I like you to support Burma Task Force. I'm a volunteer for it. But Burma Task Force is standing up to stop this genocide, violation of our sisters. You and I are free. They are not. Please stand up. Work with Burma Task Force and donate today to Burma Task Force. Together, we can do it. Assalamu alaikum.
Billboards are popping up all over the country with an...
Our neighbors don't realize that Muslims are absolutely opposed to ISIS.
Salam. My name is Abdul Malik Mujahid. I'm an imam in Chicago.
60 shots! No me!
No justice!
No me!
So how do we bring up the energy which can really have an impact on the world? You need to build bridges of understanding among people, and we need to have America moving forward. That lesson learned have brought the strength of humanity to America, which is the diversity.
Mujahid Talks, only on Muslim Network TV. Faithfully connected.
An heirloom of Prophet Muhammad's was put on display Friday at the Hirka Sharif Mosque in Istanbul's Fatih district after 2 years. People flocked to view a cloak worn by the Prophet that has been carefully preserved for nearly 1,400 years. It attracts a large crowd to the mosque, where it is kept by the descendants of Uwais al-Qarni, the Prophet's companion who was gifted the garment by him. Istanbul Governor Ali Yerlikaya and Fatih Mayor Ergun Turan were among the dignitaries attending the reopening ceremony for the cloak. The religious artifact is put on public display only during the month of Ramadan. The display was banned after the COVID-19 pandemic broke out in Turkey. Uber Eats in the UK is offering free iftar meals through pop-up restaurants to support food delivery drivers and couriers who are fasting during Ramadan. The sundown spots will be opening in London, Manchester, and Birmingham. The complimentary takeaway service is open to delivery drivers regardless of which food delivery service employs them. Muslim TV chef and rapper Big Zoo is supporting the initiative and developing one of the dishes being served in the capital. Uber launched the scheme after a survey of UK Muslims found 93% of respondents think more companies should raise awareness of Ramadan. Uber Eats operates in more than 6,000 cities across 45 countries. Many residents of the city of Makassar in Indonesia break their daily Ramadan fast in a unique way, at a floating mosque. The Amirul Mukminin Mosque is located on Losari Beach in Makassar, the capital of the province of Southwest Sulawesi. The mosque was built in 2009 and stands on a pile of concrete pushed to the bottom of the sea. It accommodates 500 worshippers, and the landscaped area around the house of worship is where attendees break their daily fast. It resembles a traditional house in the province. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the world. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid, walking up and down the world's largest refugee camps. I met Sister Fatima. Well, I'm calling her a sister. She was just a teenage girl, my granddaughter's age. Her parents were slaughtered by the Burmese military, and she was dragged by the Burmese soldiers to their hut, and all night long she was violated. She lost consciousness. When she regained, and in the morning and soldiers were themselves away, she ran and hid in a vegetable patch. Some people saw her, gave her clothes, and took her 4-day-long walk to Bangladesh. Who will speak up for her? Who will stand up for her if not you and I? It's our responsibility. It's our duty, brothers and sisters in humanity. And that's why I like you to support Burma Task Force. I'm a volunteer for it. But Burma Task Force is standing up to stop this genocide, violation of our sisters. You and I are free, they are not. Please stand up, work with Burma Task Force, and donate today to Burma Task Force. Together, we can do it. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe, and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
It's Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
We are Justice for All. Headquartered in the heart of downtown Chicago, Justice for All is a global humanitarian initiative dedicated to raising awareness for human rights concerns impacting vulnerable minority groups. Our diverse team of staff and volunteers, led by Imam Malik Mujahid, work tirelessly to help Justice for All achieve their goals. We promote policies that protect religious freedom, address the root causes of mass displacement, and recognize the plight of refugees and forced migrants. Together, we can continue to stand up for justice. Justice for all.
Welcome back. To discuss the key findings of USCIRF's annual report, let's go to Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid. Over to you, Imam Mujahid.
Thank you, Samana. USCIRF is a bipartisan commission of the United States for religious freedom around the world. And it issues an annual report along with a whole lot of statements throughout the year. And we are thankful for they standing up for religious freedom around the world. Today, they have issued a report which declares several countries as countries of particular concern. This is their term about wherever the religious freedoms are problematic. This includes India, along with China, Russia, and many, many Muslim countries. We have today the chair and the commissioner of the United States Commission for International Religious Freedom, or USCIRF, Nadine Maenza. Welcome to Muslim Network TV.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you for your work. Do you continue to get quite a bit of criticism and hate when you issue these reports?
Yes, we do. It definitely is getting some attention, but we are going to speak the truth and document the conditions that we see and issue those reports regardless.
Share with us, is religious freedom around the world is improving or worsening situation from your perspective?
I think overall it's worsening, but we have seen some bright spots in the last several years. And in talking to some of my colleagues that have worked at the Commission for many years, they remind us that while our reports sometimes could be very discouraging, we have seen some countries like Uzbekistan make stunning progress in 4 years. Kazakhstan making progress. We took Bahrain off our list last year, and we no longer cover them. So we are seeing some bright spots, but we're also seeing deterioration in many of the countries we cover. So it's disconcerting for sure.
Well, in this world, good news is rare to come by. So let's do a little more on good news. So you're saying Uzbekistan, that's very relevant for me because last night an Iftar dinner, I was with 500 Uzbek Muslims who are building their first mosque in Chicago. So tell me what progress Uzbekistan is making.
Right. So this year, our report actually was tough on Uzbekistan. Because in the course of the last 4 years, they've made this stunning progress where they've changed some of the religion laws, where they've let thousands of religious prisoners free. But the last year, and we do reports from January to December, and in the last year, they didn't make that kind of progress. They didn't register any non-Muslim houses of worship. They continued to keep over 2,000 religious prisoners in prison, and they actually updated their religion law. And they did make some positive changes, like changing from a limit of needing 500 or 100 people down to 50 to register a place of worship. But most of the problematic parts of their religion law weren't changed. They don't allow people to meet outside the registered location for religious services. They outlaw any missionary activity. So we're hoping, it's some of this, we understand that it isn't always a straight line forward. So even though we have seen some of these problems in the last 12 months, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's been stunning changes in some of the conditions they've had where people are practicing their faith. And so we try to put in context that still, it doesn't take away from the previous years of progress, because at a year where they kind of stalled. We're hopeful that this next year they're going to make some great progress. But the thing that's most stunning about it is they continue to engage with us. We just visited Uzbekistan, just got back 2 weeks ago. And even though they know we're going to write a report that isn't going to be completely positive, they continue to engage with us and continue to invite us to attend and meet with former religious prisoners and so forth, which really shows the authenticity of their desire. It's easy for government to say, oh, we want to change or we are changing, but then they don't do the hard work. And Uzbekistan's doing the hard work. And we're also seeing Kazakhstan with a roadmap where they're trying to move forward. Again, it's struggling to get some of these laws changed and to allow people to practice their faith outside of locations that are approved and give a little bit more freedom to their religious communities. But they're working towards that. They've had honest and open dialogues with USCIRF on it. And so I'm encouraged that, again, we're going to continue to see positive change in Kazakhstan as well.
Well, Nadine, I always respect people who are open for dialogue, at least, because when USCIRF declared last year India, a country of particular concern, they called USCIRF as an institution of a particular concern. We will get back to it, but let's dwell on it. What other countries are willing to engage in conversation?
Yeah, there's quite a few countries that have. Egypt, for one, and we visited and had conversations. Azerbaijan has engaged with us. We have visited the embassy and visited the country as well. So we find a lot of the countries we cover are allow us to come and do meetings. We even visited Burma and met with the Burmese government. Now, this was 2 years ago when it was a combination civil and military government at the time, not since, of course, the coup. But it just shows you that that there are countries that are open to having us come, even if they aren't engaging directly in changes. Like, for instance, Burma never was going back and forth with USCIRF in terms of following any of our recommendations, but they did allow us to come. They did meet with us and gave us a little bit more insight into the government. So it's a different level of engagement on some of these different countries, but we're willing to come and really start the conversation and then see how that develops.
Now, India, this is the third year you're recommending them to be declared a country of particular concern, as well as sanctions on people. You know, in America, when churches or mosques are attacked, our government goes after those people who are attacking them. And we have a due process of law punishing them. In India, since the beginning of the month of Ramadan, which we are going through, there have been attacks on mosques and Muslims who have been standing guard to the mosque because police is not protecting them. They actually have demolished houses and shops of those people and threatening their livelihood. So what has been your finding on India?
Yeah, we have definitely seen conditions worsen in 2021. We've seen Indian government continue to promote and enforce policies that promote a Hindu nationalist agenda and negatively impact all sorts of religious minority communities. And as you said, what we've seen is a combination of both the government engaging in religious freedom violations or tolerating religious freedom violations. And in order to meet the definition of being a country of particular concern, or a CPC, the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998 indicates that it must meet this threshold of systematic, ongoing, and egregious violations. And so we see India both engaging in and them allowing and tolerating those kind of crimes, as you mentioned, with this mob violence, and oftentimes encouraging it. That is a severe religious freedom violation, and the U.S. government should acknowledge that, and there should be a consequence for that behavior internationally.
Why do you think do you think a State Department is listening to you? Because this is the third year USCIRF has issued this report. In terms of other countries, they accept it. But when it comes to India, they remain silent. Are you seeing any progress?
We definitely have met with the State Department and shared our concerns. And India is one of those countries that we would expect most of the dialogue in the work the U.S. government would be doing with them would be private. So our hope is that the U.S. government is engaging directly with the Indian government at the highest levels. But in terms of working together and bilateral work, we also hope that there is some consequences for the Indian government for this behavior, that the U.S. government uses different tools it has to incentivize the Indian government to make changes in the laws and to change the way that they're treating those perpetrators of these crimes.
Well, Secretary of State recently, speaking alongside in a press conference with the Indian counterpart, mentioned that in some part of the government, Indian government and police, in terms of human rights violation, that seems to be first time publicly Secretary of State has said. So that seems to be needle is moving little bit. But tell me about the engagement. I'm about dialogue and engagement. You mentioned some countries are being engaged in conversation with USCIRF. Is India engaged in conversation?
We are not dialoguing with the Indian embassy or with the Indian government at this point in time. We would welcome the opportunity, and we'd be glad to do that privately even, and having these conversations. But currently, we're not dialoguing. We're thankful that the U.S. government is having these conversations. We're confident that they are coming up. As you heard, they even announced that they were talking about human rights, which is something we probably haven't seen before from the U.S. government. But we so far have not been able to, although we would welcome that.
But USCIRF is a part of the U.S. government. How come a government is not listening to another part of the government?
Well, we feel like the U.S. government is listening to us. It's hard to know if exactly what they're following, because we know some of this dialogue is private.
Nadine, I know it's a difficult work, giving an opinion about different countries, about the level of religious freedom and calling for sanctions and things of this nature. But India is taking very personally. I mean, along with your report, they have issued a 129-page report in which, I'm honored to be in this center. And around me, they have placed a lot of people, including Honorable yourself. I don't know what am I deserving to get that, but it seems like anyone who speaks for religious freedom and or freedom in general seems to be the bad guy in the eyes of the Indian government. So, are you intimidated by these type of reports?
I am not. I'm disappointed. The one map you mentioned connects me with all these people. Most of them I don't know who they are. Some people I've met once or twice, but making these assumptions that there's this deep plot against India, there is not. I mean, we stand with the people of India to have the right to practice their faith freely, to be able to identify as a religious community openly without fear of violence. And so our critique of India and of the laws is in no way mean-spirited and is not in any sort of conjunction with any other organizations that we've been associated with. We don't even meet with most of them. We do interviews like this from time to time, but these recommendations we made are because that's the truth of what's happening right now in India. And we'd love nothing better than for those conditions to change, for us to be able to make other recommendations, for us to say things are better, that these crimes aren't happening, this violence isn't happening. And we'd love nothing more than to move India back off the list and not talk about these conditions any longer. But currently, all the intimidation in the world isn't going to change the fact that right now conditions are deteriorating in India, and it's not helpful if we want India to be stable, to be secure, to be peaceful, to be a good ally. The conditions are harmful economically. So there's so many different reasons why it's better for the people of India if the government opens up religious freedom conditions again and lets people have that freedom to practice their faith openly.
Well, I also do not know most of those people, but I do recognize some human rights activists in India who was put in there. And one of them, Harsh Mandar, his house and his offices were actually raided by the Indian government. And he used to be a civil servant of the Indian government, and he resigned because of exactly the violation of human rights. And so I do know some of those people, and it's just honored to be just connected with you.
I'm honored to be connected with you. Thank you so
much for your work. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me today and for covering this important story and for all the work you do. And happy Ramadan to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Back to you, Samana.
Thank you, Imam Mujahid. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.